welcome back. Welcome back. Again, this is Whissel Wednesdays. Jason Hall with Team Home Loans, Kyle Whissel with Whissel Realty, and in studio, Marci Mauro and David Hamilton with Pacific Southwest Realty Services. During the break, Marci was giving me a hard time because I was saying, well, I'll be nice and say young lady. I guess that was really bad, Jason, right? What's new, Kyle, right? I kind of put my foot inside my mouth.
Yeah, and you've also said the word set instead of sit about 15 times.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
So you're going to correct me. I'm sure Craig Sewing, who helps sponsors our show, will be giving me a hard time as well relatively soon. Marci, so you've done how many triathlons?
Oh, I've done over 100 triathlons, but I've done 11 Ironman
That's
triathlons.
crazy. Can you imagine doing 11, Kyle?
I can't imagine doing one.
Wow.
I could do an Olympic distance. I'm good, but this Ironman, that's too much.
Paul, you going to do a triathlon with Kyle?
No.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely not.
That's what I told him. David, you want to do a triathlon with Kyle?
No, I'm like I said, I max out at a 10K. And I can't race.
Well, we know
Olympic
Marci would do a
distance.
triathlon with Kyle.
Yeah, an
She'll do
Olympic
it.
I'll do it.
distance.
Is
It's only
there a triathlon
10K
game
at
on
the end.
Xbox? I'll do that.
You'll do the Xbox game? I like it. Well, let's get a little bit of residential real estate. One of the articles that we brought up, 10 reasons why for sale by owners, which are known as FSBOs, fell. And we want to go through that, Kyle?
Yeah,
10,
so
the
we'll
top
touch
10.
on, let's try to hit on 5. And then if you're listening to the show and you want to get the other 5 reasons, you can always text us 619-663-SELL, 619-663-SELL, and we'll get you the final 5. But let's start out. Number 1 is there's too many people to negotiate with. When you're trying to sell your home on your own, you don't realize how many people are involved in a real estate transaction. You've got lenders, like we have here
Right.
with Marci and Dave. You've got a home inspector. You've got an appraiser. You've got an escrow company. You've got a title company. You've got a home warranty company. There's so many people involved that most people doing a for sale by owner don't even know who those people are, let alone how to interact with those people. And at the end of the day, as a result, they leave a lot of money on the table.
Right, so that's number 1.
Number 1. Number 2 on the list is homeowners don't know how to prep their home for sale, which is huge. So we've had our listing manager, Brandy Pike, here.
You don't
in the
just
studio.
clean it? You just don't clean it, Kyle?
Most people don't even do that, right? They're like,
we've seen some houses,
oh
right?
my goodness, it's crazy. So, a lot of people don't know how to prep their home for sale. We've had Brandy on the show. She's awesome at, getting our listings prepped and ready to go on the market. A big thing that we do when we list a home for somebody is have a professional designer go out to the home before we ever even shoot photos, before we ever even put it on the market. And it's amazing how big of a difference a few little changes can make. Things like decluttering, fresh paint, fresh carpet, depersonalizing, taking down some of those family photos. Because when somebody's walking through your home, you want them to remember the home, not the family that lives in the home.
Right, because it's hard for them to see themselves in a house if it's got all your stuff.
Absolutely.
Especially your photos.
Absolutely. And it's amazing when we walk clients through homes, they'll sit and just stare at the family photos on the wall. And they'll make judgments on that family. And that's the last thing you want. You want them focused on the granite counters in your kitchen, the barbecue island in your backyard, not the wedding photo of you and your wife from, for you 50 years ago. You don't want them staring at that stuff.
Hey, 25 years next month, and we're going to Costa Rica.
Nice.
So you're going to have to fill in, or I'll have one of the guys fill in for me.
Make sure you get good sets on the plane.
Good sets. Yeah, I love it, man. You know what? You love teasing, man. This is the funnest thing. All
Love
right,
it.
number 3.
Number 3 on the list, owners don't know how to screen potential buyers. So this is where you come in, and really help us out. When somebody writes an offer on a listing that we have on the market, we will not present that offer to our seller until they've spoken with you, Jason, or one of the members of your team, because we want to vet that buyer and make sure they're legitimately qualified to buy that home. There's so many people that will submit an offer with a pre-approval letter, and you talk to the lender on the pre-approval letter if you can even get a hold of them. And when you do get a hold of them, they're like, oh yeah, well they filled out our online application. Great. Well, what does that consist of? A name, a social security number, and put in how much money you make.
Right, so not a true pre-approval.
Right. So explain to the listeners, what is a true pre-approval letter?
So a true pre-approval letter, if you're really getting a true pre-approval, you should have given all your income documentation, your credit report should be pulled, the lender should verify all of your assets, done a debt-to-income ratio to really confirm that you can truly afford that home. And most of the online lenders are literally just going, oh, you make 10 grand a month, you're putting $20,000 down. Yeah, based on a credit score, you tell me 750. Yeah, you qualify. Here's a letter. And it's so sad when you hear of these buyers who really thought they were qualified, spent 30 days, found the house. 30 days later, they're told at the end, oh, we can't get you a loan. And there's so many agents and FSBOs who just don't vet those buyers. So that's a huge advantage. So,
yeah, and that's the worst part. If you're the person selling the house, you do it yourself, and you don't vet the buyer and have them get pre-approved through your preferred lender up front, you might waste 30, 60 days in escrow with a buyer that never should have, been in escrow in the first place because they truly didn't qualify. So having somebody like you to dot the I's, cross the T's really saves our sellers a lot of time. And it's a huge reason why somebody shouldn't sell their home on their own, because they don't know what they don't know. And that's one of those things.
Let's talk about number 4.
Number 4 on the list, owners fail to solve or respond to buyers' inquiries. So a lot of people trying to sell their home on their own work a 9-to-5 type job. And that's when a lot of buyers are searching for homes. That's when they have questions on homes. It's when they want to go see homes. And what we found at Whissel Realty is that when a buyer has a question on a home, they want an answer like that. The immediacy of response in today's market, in this technological age, with texting, with chatting, with Facebooking and emailing, people want answers extremely quickly. Back in your day, they could page you and then you could call them back later and all that, but that doesn't fly anymore.
I never did have a pager.
You were before that, huh?
Yeah, I was before the pager days.
Carrier pigeon.
But I remember when they used to carry those big phones that you'd pull over, stop, kind of crank it up. It was like dialing in a bomb attack to get that phone to work. But
definitely. So yeah, people want quick responses when they have questions, and when they want to see a house, they want to go see it now. They don't want to ask about seeing the house at 3:00, and then realize, at 6:00 you call them back. Hey, sorry, I was at work. I couldn't show it to you. That doesn't fly in this market. Buyers want answers quick, and they want to see houses now. And most of the time when somebody's listing their home on their own, they can't meet those expectations.
Right. No, absolutely. Number 5.
Number 5 is owners don't understand the concept of golden time. So what the golden time is the first 2 to 3 weeks when a home is on the market. That's the golden time. That's when the peak of activity is going to be on your home. That's when the most eyeballs are going to be on it, when you're going to have the most showings. A lot of people will rush their home to the market, kind of like we talked about before. They don't set the home up properly to put it on the market. So they don't stage it. They don't do photos. They'll start out with some iPhone photos, with the house cluttered and looking like a hot mess. And then eventually they'll clean it up, maybe come in. If they're smart enough, they'll have a professional photographer. We have our own in-house photographer on our team that takes phenomenal pictures. So they're not doing all of the work up front to make sure that when that home hits the market, it makes a splash and it looks absolutely perfect from day one. They start to fix things over time instead of having everything ready up front. They miss out on that opportunity over those first 2 or 3 weeks. And then when buyers are looking at homes, the longer a home's been sitting on the market, that's like blood in the water. That's when the sharks start swirling, and that's when the lowball offers start coming in. So they're either not setting the stage properly, or they might overprice it. They're like, well, we'll start high and then we'll start to lower the price over time, which is just like shooting yourself in the foot, because when you do that, nobody's going to look at it during that golden time when the peak of activity is. By the time you reduce the price, nobody's looking on it anymore, and then you're chasing your tail.
Yeah, and that's the top 5. So if you want the rest of those 5, hit Kyle up, 619-663-7355, 619-663-SELL. Again, that's the top 10 reasons why FSBOs for sell by owners fail. And if you're thinking about listing your home and trying to do it yourself, you want to hire a professional. I'm sure David and Marci will agree. It is so hard to try to do all that stuff on your own. And we all think we can save a buck. And as Kyle just pointed out, most of those people lose thousands and killing that time. And the golden time, it's a huge thing.
Absolutely.
When the first comes out, that's the peak time. That's when you get the most eyeballs.
And statistically, people who list their home on their own versus listing it with an agent, what they're trying to do is save that commission, usually 6%, is a standard commission here in San Diego. They're trying to save 6%, but statistically speaking, they sell for 17% less. So what's more important, saving 6% or costing yourself 17%?
It's crazy. It's crazy when people try to do that on their own. So here's something going on. So the Fed is scheduled, everybody believes, to raise rates. And I know this is something Marci and David can jump in on. What do you guys think? I mean, everybody's been concerned is the Fed. They've been saying all year, they're going to raise rates, they're going to raise rates. It didn't happen in June. It's scheduled to happen in September, but now we're seeing articles and things coming out that if it happens, it could really hurt the economy because we're only punching around like a 2%, national growth rate right now. What's your guys' take on rates?
Right. That's a question that is difficult to answer. What I do want to comment on is the Fed has already stopped their quote unquote quantitative easing program, which they had several
programs and cycles where they were buying debt, doing some unique things to drive down interest rates. And the belief was that's what was keeping those long-term interest rates low. So the Fed completely ended that program. What we've seen is that rates continued to be low, those long-term rates. And that's probably there's international factors that affect that. The fact that you can invest in a European bond and get less of a return than in a U.S. security, that doesn't make any sense. So no sense.
From the short, raising the short-term rates, I'm not sure when that's going to happen. It's dependent on the economic conditions, but it should happen in the next year or so.
Yeah, definitely the next 12 months. Yeah. Kyle, you agree with that, right?
Yeah, they've been talking about it forever, and it's going to happen eventually. It's not a matter of if, it's when.
And here's what most people don't realize. When the Fed raises the short-term rates, like you were saying, Dave, everybody assumes if they raise a quarter or half, which is the assumption right now, somewhere between a quarter to half a point they're going to raise, you think the rates are going to go from 4% on a 30-year fixed mortgage to 4.5%. They don't. I've actually seen them raise rates and rates go down. So it's still a great time to buy out there, looking to refi, get into some commercial real estate. Rates are still going to remain really low. I don't think it's going to kill the market. Do I believe the housing market is stable enough to assume a 5-6% rate? Probably not. We're probably going to be in this 3.5% to 5% window for a few more years to get this economy going. But again, thank you guys, all of you, for listening to the station, listening to 1170 AM The Answer. Whissel Wednesday. Kyle, thank you for letting me sit in the hot seat while you're here. And David and Marci with Pacific Southwest Realty Services, thank you guys for joining us tonight. We really appreciate your time. Again, if anybody wants to reach out to you, can hit us up on our text line, 619-663-7355. Again, this is Jason Hall, Team Home Loans. You guys have a great night.
That goes straight to Jason's pager, too.
Girl, I'm going to show you how to do it, and we start real slow. You just put your lips together.